Dude.
Let's go ahead and start by just addressing the three elephants in the three different rooms of what's happening on this episode of Only Weird Games. Nate Taylor is live from Indianapolis. He is there on Radio Row, a thing that the Combine did not used to have and now does in fact have. So Nate is on the road. Seth Keysor, he's the least on the road he's ever been. We're getting our first peek at the Seth Keysor home office, which does come with complimentary mic issues that will make Seth sound slightly different. Me? What's wrong with me? Nothing more than usual. Renee and I did watch the first 6 episodes of Severance back to back last night, and so my headspace may be somewhere else. Literally, it's a long story. Let's talk about what we know.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
If anyone tries putting Severance spoilers in the chat, I will have you banned permanently, but we'll do our best to spoil a few of the mysteries of this Chiefs offseason. Here over this edition of Only Weird Games. Seth has written about Nick Bolton and Trey Smith. Nate Taylor just heard from Andy Reid and Brett Veach a little bit earlier today. And we may have somewhere to go on the Travis Kelce front. Before we get into all that, fellas, how are we doing? Seth, there's still a Chiefs photo behind you of some sort, so that makes me feel like you're right at home. Do you have a confetti display that we can get in your backdrop somewhere? Do we need to work on that?
I don't have a confetti display. I also, and I apologize to our listeners, our leerers, our voyeurs, and alike, that
Especially
I haven't.
the listeners today.
Yes, because my sound quality isn't what you guys have grown accustomed to, and I apologize for that. We're going to get that worked out. Josh, you commented that I'm in a different location than I normally am. Are you implying that someone who has been doing something for a certain way at their office for years was suddenly told that they shouldn't be doing it that way anymore? Are you implying
What an excellent interview.
Are you implying that someone would complain about what someone is doing in their office after business hours?
What an OC change.
That doesn't affect anyone else, and
What
actually results in more work getting done because I tend to check emails while other people talk. Are you implying that because there's one Karen that cares about what I do on my time that I'm recording for someone else? Are you implying that?
Are you saying it's a coaching change?
Okay.
Coaching change?
Okay, well, never mind then.
Wow.
No, Seth, I would imply nothing of the sort. I have no idea what you're talking about, and I presume neither do you. If anybody else wants to ask about it, but look, I mean, even with your hundreds and hundreds of kids running around your acreage that you have there in Upper Minnesota, I don't know if anything can match the energy of just a little south of there, over across a couple borders where the NFL Combine comes down every year, claws out, and just descends on Indy. Nate, how's the vibe there?
Hey, Seth. Change is inevitable, and we're gonna try something different this year. I know we've been letting you get comfortable in the system, but every once in a while you're gonna have a new offensive coordinator, and they're gonna want to do things differently. They're going to ask you to, do a little bit more split back formations, a little bit more, jumbo packages, particularly in the red zone. And I know you might not get as many pass attempts as you would like. But look, middle management is here to make changes so that upper management notices me. And
Nate, are you implying?
I just want you to be the right quarterback for the right system, even though it's the system you haven't ran in 10 years.
Are you implying, Nate, that someone from completely outside the coaching staff would complain about something that literally didn't affect the performance on the field at all, and based on that, the new head coach made a call to change things? Are you implying that?
I'm just saying we all have a job to do.
We all got a job to do.
Seth, if you want us to mobilize the voyeurs to end someone's career, I think we can do that.
Do that.
Give me a first name, last name, title, and this bleep
and location.
Over. You know what? I just know.
Let Nate send them some confetti.
I hate that you guys are implying the things that you're implying. Things never work like that. No one ever kowtows to pressure from outside forces and tells, salaried employees, quarterbacks, how they should be spending their time.
Are you saying, look, we got to make a change. Change is inevitable. We all got a job to do. We need you to go to left tackle. You're an all-pro guard. You're going to go in the Hall of Fame. They've already measured your jacket. They've already measured you for your gold jacket. They've already measured you for your bust. You got 1 million rings. I know.
You know what?
Seth, we gotta move you to left tackle. And I know you might complain to a certain media member or two, but we need you to do this for the system that we are implementing.
You know what? I can do that.
I want to be noticed because I implemented a new system.
Yep, and I'm nothing if not a team player. And what's this? Hold on. Oh, my contract's up. All right, what's going on with the Chiefs?
Nate, do you think it's interesting that now suddenly Seth does see the value in the Jimmy Butler of it all?
Sometimes we have to go through certain experiences to better sympathize and understand people who have gone through similar experiences. Yes, it is quite fascinating.
Hey, look, if someone wants to tell me I got to keep doing what I'm doing for $25 million for a year, okay. I will very upsetly
and you
do
get
it.
To move to either Los Angeles or, wait for it, San Francisco.
You can't send me to either of those places. I'm from Middle America. You send me to California and I'll burst into flames. This is known. Anyway, hold on, just to put a cork on all this. All right. I just can't believe you guys would imply any of that. I can't believe you guys would insinuate any of that. And let me just say definitively, nothing like that, of course, happened. And I can't believe you guys would imply that.
No, honestly, it's irresponsible of us to do. And Seth, I'd like to be the first one to apologize for implying that something as silly as that could be happening.
I appreciate that.
And if at any point you do want to go ahead and mobilize the voyeurs, I think we have the capability.
Mm-hmm.
Probably do.
They're like a re-election campaign at some point we can get really involved in. I don't really know how any of this works, but I would love to put a sign in my yard for an election happening in Minnesota.
That would be, yes. You would have to really clarify a lot.
Yeah, come over. Just come over.
Seth Keysor for what title? Title unknown, TBD, maybe irrelevant.
Nobody knows. No.
Here's what we're going to do. Nate's getting a hug. Seth's going to take a deep breath, and we're going to go ahead and take a timeout. Hello, unless you like to help fix
Joshua,
the show.
Seth?
Yeah, this is Laura.
How's it going?
From the Indianapolis Colts. Previously semi-colleagues in Indianapolis when I used to cover the Pacers.
Semi.
Yeah. What are the Colts going to do?
Oh my, wouldn't I love to know? Hey, what they're going to do is for sure make things interesting over the next few weeks. There's no doubt there are some, major in-house free agents to consider. That's something that Chris Ballard talked about, especially along the offensive line.
Yes.
So, and you got to set up Anthony Richardson for success. So they're going to have to do some things.
Can you get me Pacers tickets tomorrow?
Oh, tomorrow? Call Eddie White.
I know. Mostly because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's so good to see you.
To see you
this
too.
is the beauty of the combine because you just literally walked past me.
Yeah.
So, great.
Great to see you guys.
It makes for a great audio medium. Does she work for the Colts now, you said, Nate? Or okay, so she was not going to answer any of the questions I wanted to ask anyway. Of course not. That's okay. That's good. I didn't put her in a bad spot.
No, that's fine. No.
She seems great.
Oh, Laura is great. I mean, this is
But I want to know why they're ruining Anthony Richardson. That was going to be my question: is why are the Colts trying to ruin Anthony Richardson? And I don't think that would have been a polite question to ask a team employee. I'm glad I didn't do that.
we had a discussion amongst sports writers yesterday, and I just want to make something very clear. It has occurred to many of us that, hey, Jaden Daniels, pretty good mobile quarterback in a new system. Hey, for Jalen Hurts, they got him the greatest running back that mid-tier money can buy. And isn't it interesting that Josh Allen had his best year with a very good running back? And doesn't Anthony Richardson have Jonathan Taylor? It's like, for any mobile quarterback, that's good. I mean, you got to get him a good running back.
Hold on. I think I figured out the problem.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when Joe Flacco played, he fixed everything. So I feel like that's
yeah. It's like, hey, you know what? He was just as good as Joe Flacco in the year of our Lord 2024.
He was better than Joe Flacco. Don't let the lamestream media convince you otherwise.
Yeah.
Don't wave your hand at me, Seth. He was better than Joe Flacco. Go bleep yourself. He was better than Joe Flacco.
I mean, there will be a lot of conversations like that about roster building and what we would do as general managers, even though I wouldn't give any of my friends these jobs. There's no way on earth I would let them be a general manager, let alone them suggest what I should do about God knows what. So it's a great time. We're not getting the best version of me. And I understand that, because it hasn't happened yet, kids. It'll happen tonight. It'll happen tonight. And pray for my soul and for
I always do.
Thank you. Perfectly said. Pray for my soul and my decision-making ability. Because the combine will not start until the clock strikes midnight, and everybody is, if you are claustrophobically close to me amongst other hundreds of people in the only steakhouse that is open legally at this hour in our Lord's Indianapolis, that's when the combine literally starts. We are priming to it. We are pre-gaming this thing beautifully. So thank you to Laura. The more I can inopportunely and impromptly have my friends come on this show, the better. While I travel for this nonsense. So no, I didn't forget to make my bed. I politely asked Isabel to make my bed today. Okay, not your daughter, Seth. Get out of here.
Would have been a hell of a commute, man. She can't. She just drove over to Indy real quick.
Yeah.
So it's I look forward to seeing my freshly made bed at 3 a.m.
On that note, let's go ahead and take our first of a couple of breaks. Everybody can catch their breath. We will come back, and I want to start, Nate. It wasn't on the rundown because I didn't know we were going to get all this today, but let's kick off Combine Week with what we heard about Travis Kelce. We'll talk about that next.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
So you heard from Andy Reid, you heard from Brett Veach, the on-podium media of all of that. The one thing that certainly jumped out that was new intel that you've already written about over in The Athletic, Nate, is that it seems like the Chiefs are, in fact, preparing and expecting for Travis Kelce to return for the 2025 season. What did you hear from Reid and Veach in that regard? Do you feel like it's a done deal? Do you feel like it's 80-20? Where are things right now on Travis Kelce after hearing Reid and Veach today?
I hope everyone understands this reference. And I want to be very clear in my communication because that's what I'm paid to do here. Guys, we can all celebrate. We can all celebrate and cherish what we all wanted. And let's be fair, Seth. You wanted it, I wanted it, and so did Josh. And I hope you, the listener, the voyeur, the viewer, wants it as well. We're getting the absolute full Roy Kent season. We're getting the full Roy Kent season. I'm so happy that this is occurring. This has been known for a couple days now, and it is quite telling, ladies and gentlemen, that the Kansas City Chiefs are quite comfortable telling me to tell you that Travis Kelce is going to have a swan song, and it will be in the package of a 2025 season that includes what we believe to be at least 18 episodes. And given his status in the league, given where he is in his career, given who he's dating, and please, Lord, let Roy and Kylie stay together. Please don't break my heart again. Now, to be fair, I know, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a complete apples for apples comparison because she is way bigger than Kylie, and he, you could argue, is even bigger than Roy Kent.
For sure.
But we're going to get it. We're going to get the full Roy Kent experience. And I know that publicly, Brett Veach today said, "Oh, no. There was no deadline. No, he could have taken all the time he wanted. But I'm telling you now, he'll be back next season." Oh, so was it a deadline? Or are you just comfortable telling me that there was no deadline, but looks at the clock? Oh, it's not even March and you're telling me he's back. Isn't that nice? It's the best possible scenario for the team because, as I've told these gentlemen offline, including Tucker, who I believe is still in the air towards
I think
Indianapolis.
he has landed in Indianapolis.
Oh boy, then the combine really about to pop off.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Eagle has landed as Nick Springer, who is actually responsible for this mess.
Get out
today.
of the way if you're a beer. Get out. Get out. Get out of here. If you're an ice cold beer. So think about it this way, Seth. They are assured at this point on February 25th that Travis Kelce will be back for the last season of his career. They will not say it. I'll say it for him, guys. This is it. This is the swan song. This is the farewell tour. This is the Roy Kent full-on season. It would be hard to imagine from the Chiefs' perspective that Travis Kelce will come back in 2026. It is hard from the Travis Kelce perspective for him to come back in 2026.
The whole place can only hear Nate Taylor. The whole room can hear Nate Taylor.
It's incredible. Yeah.
That's the disembodied voice of Sam McDowell,
Sam
the
McDowell,
Kansas City Star, by the way.
Who, by the way, agrees with everything I'm saying. This is it.
I think it's cool that Sam has been off screen this whole time, just fist pumping the air, cheering you on, pointing like, Nate's got this.
Yeah, we were there. We were next to one another. It was great. So, this is. I guess I'll need to lower my voice for professional reasons. But
I will say, Nate, as a fan and friend of you both, you and Sam, you exist on different levels of the volume spectrum.
Yeah.
Your whisper might be Sam's shout, and Sam's whisper would not be. You could not hear it with human ears. You would need dog ears.
From a fan, Seth, from an analyst, Seth, are you comfortable now knowing that you are guaranteed at least 18 more games with Travis Kelce?
Absolutely. I'm excited, and I have one thing I really want to say about that. You know what, Josh? I'm just setting you up for breaks right here, left and right.
Well, we took one 2 minutes ago.
Did we?
So I wouldn't do another one yet. Because we did one right before the Travis Kelce segment.
We did?
And we'll do another one in about 20 minutes, but not until then.
Okay. I'm trying to play this off as a bit, but I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned about myself right now. So those of you who wonder...
Hey, Seth, you're the least concerned one for you on this call right now, my friend.
So, look, those of you who wonder to yourselves, how much is Seth paying attention to what's going on a moment-by-moment basis?
It varies.
I'm paying attention. Like, I'm listening. I'm listening. Hold on. Oh, no, here, hang on. Babe. I was listening. I was listening. Yeah, of course I was listening. Of course I was
Sam
listening.
McDowell has heard more of this show today than Seth Keysor.
Well, that's because everyone could hear Nate. All right. I don't know what happened there with that, so I apologize. That was pretty weird. Well, I don't know how weird. But anyway,
No,
so here's the
It's
deal.
okay. We should have made Seth the healthy scratch today. I
So,
underestimated.
Nate, will you just tell us whether Kelsey will be back in 2025?
He's going to be
Nate-
back. I know
Nate,
that. I
will you
know
please tell
that
us-
shocks you, but he will be back.
Will you please tell us if Tucker has landed in Indianapolis or not yet?
Oh my goodness!
Just
If it
say it
is,
in there,
that's
that's
gonna
gonna be a nice
cool
little
beer.
He has the
So-
Eagle has landed along with Clark Hunt, Dave Merritt, and maybe some few others members of the Kansas City Chiefs.
So
Per my reporting.
here's
Per
the
sources.
it is terrific news. Travis Kelce is a better tight end than anyone that they could have had suiting up for them in 2025. That's a fact. Travis Kelce working in concert with Noah Gray is a good tandem, allows them to run a lot of 12 sets. It's nothing but terrific news for the Chiefs. They now, with Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice, assumedly to be back, pending whatever suspension gets handed down.
I've heard it could be, let's just say 4 games.
Yeah.
I've been-
a
The
ball-
longer
just a ballpark
it
range.
goes, the longer this
Don't quote
goes.
me on this, ladies and gentlemen. I do not know that for a fact, but I've heard.
Right.
2 to 4, maybe 6, probably more in the 2 to 4 category.
Yeah. The longer it goes, the better it is for him, because we talked all about it. Because initially the entire reporting surrounded how bad it could have been, and plus it was on video. And so the initial thing, had he been suspended immediately afterward, it would have been like a full season, and everyone would be like, yeah. Now that it's been like a year and a half, and people are like, well,
And with good behavior.
and then people are just like, okay, so essentially he was driving, a 23-year-old was driving stupidly and got into a crash. Okay, so anyway, my point as it relates to Travis Kelce, with Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy and whatever receiver they're going to bring in, because they need another receiver, they need an X receiver. This is
Thank you, Dr. Ozzie.
This is your transition season. And I think they planned on 2024 being that. And then Travis Kelce proceeded to play more snaps than he's played in like 5 years. This is your transition season for the offense. One thing they know, Patrick Mahomes can't treat Travis Kelce like his primary week in and week out. Can you do it sometimes? Absolutely. Can you do it every week? No. And he just doesn't separate well enough from man anymore. He can no longer, how about this? He can no longer separate when teams are game planning to try and take him away. It used to be that it didn't matter, right? He'd still get his. That's not the case anymore. And that's that thing that separates you from very, very good to God tier, right? And so now it's a matter of understanding you can't just run back the offense the way it's been the last couple of years. You can't do it. You need a foundational shift in the offense. And with someone like Kelsey in there, you can dust off the oldies, but you also need to have a foundational shift of the offense to be more wide receiver centric at this point. That's my only, and I want to make sure I phrase this correctly. That's my only concern with Kelsey coming back, is that you've got a lot of stubborn people in that room, a lot of people that have had a ton of success in that room, it's hard to change what you're doing.
Are these stubborn mother bleepers?
Are you implying that, okay, no, I'm not going to do that whole bit again, but the reality is these are some stubborn people that have had a ton of success, and the temptation to keep the bones of the offense the same, I think, is greater with Kelsey in house. So you need to see a little more willingness to start shifting away from a tight end centric offense and more towards some downfield threats again, because you've got the guy to do it now. The guys to do it now. Your primary receiver next year, barring them bringing in someone insane, should be Rashee Rice, not Travis Kelce. Your number 2 receiving option, barring something insane happening, should be Xavier Worthy. Your third option should be Kelsey, the best third option in the entire league. And he might even be the 4th option if they trade for DK Metcalf like they should.
Or he might be the 4th option for Hollywood Brown too. This is the one thing, and you mentioned this, we've covered this. Seth, you may have said this more than anybody that I've talked to, so I'm mansplaining back to you just for the sake of the podcast. But I think this year was the baton handoff a little bit, where Travis Kelce is going to keep jogging with Rashee Rice as he hands it off to him. Rashee Rice takes the baton, but and this also, I'll do a little cross promo because I do Tuesdays with Sterling Holmes over on Arrowhead Addict.
I'm so sorry.
And you know, when he has the mustache, I don't mind it. When he shaves the mustache, I reconsider every week.
That's fair.
But there was a comment there right along these lines, and I'm sure we've had something similar today. I haven't been able to keep up with our comments here today, but of like, what makes you think that the offensive game plan will improve without any real changes amongst the coaching staff? And they weren't even saying without any real changes amongst the personnel, but I added the personnel.
I asked Andy Reid today, was there any considerations of making more additions to the coaching staff or coaching staff changes specifically to the offensive side of the ball, considering that the two new hires to the coaching staff are on the defensive side of the ball? Andy Reid said no.
So like I said, there are stubborn people in the room.
Yes. And even as I would also like to see a different type of voice in the room to add to the overall, like, just coaching staff at hand, the thing that does give me some hope is that the entire offensive season was spent plugging holes. It was spent losing your number one, I'm going to say your 1B receiver. I think it really would have been 2, but we didn't know at the time how it was going to go. Wide receiver 1B is essentially lost for the season on the first play of the preseason. Wide receiver 1 is lost on a freak play in week 3, week 4, week 4, done for the year. And your left tackle, plan A, is undercut before week 2 has completed. So and then you lose your running back, and Kareem Hunt is now carrying the offense, all of that shuffling. So I have all of these concerns that we've talked about. I think there's room to improve even beyond this version of it. But I do think the Chiefs coaching staff was preparing for a different looking offense that ended up looking pretty familiar because the things that were going to be different were lost very early in the season, which is obviously really unfortunate. And we said at the time that they were going to feel the impact of those injuries. They didn't feel the entirety of it in a loss until the Super Bowl, which is unfortunate.
That's exactly right. And so I do have some hope that really is the plan. You're going to see the 2024 plan carried out in 2025. They did spend the entire year kind of triaging things. The tackle guard plan didn't work out, which I saw someone in the comments. I've seen a lot of Andy Heck commentary lately. I know enough people in the offensive line world that everyone I've talked to that works with the pros respects Andy Heck. Like, he's not, I don't think he's like on the same level as like Stoutland, like the Eagles O-line coach, but he's well respected. And people are like, oh, someone who can develop a tackle. You remember what Eric Fisher looked like in year 1? And then remember what he looked like in year 4? They did develop a tackle. They've developed players. They have. Now, if it's as good as you want, I get it. But they were triaging the tackle situation all year after they were triaging the wide receiver injury stuff, and it resulted in some very uneven looking stuff. But they also need to really think about where Mahomes has succeeded and where he hasn't, which he's succeeded basically everywhere. But where's he been at his best? He's been at his best with the ball coming out quickly and with a downfield passing attack. They've got to figure out a way, in my opinion, to try to really bring to life the merge of the 2024 offense and the 2018 offense, which the closest they came to that is 2022, right? Mm-hmm. Where they were still testing downfield at times, more frequently than they did this year. And some of that, a lot of people want to point to a bunch of different things. Pop quiz. Who played left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2022?
It's Orlando Brown Jr., year 1, right?
That was year 2 of Orlando Brown.
Sorry, yes, correct.
Yes,
correct.
And that is the last time the Chiefs have had consistently above average left tackle play.
By the way, Pro Bowler Orlando Brown Jr.
Yeah, he was solid there. And again, there's a sliding doors thing where the relationship doesn't turn sour and he comes back on a relatively reasonable contract, and things look very different right now. So they need to figure out left tackle, and they need to figure out one more weapon, and they need to revamp the offense around that. I think the effort is already there. They talked all last offseason about dusting off the deep ball, and then had a catastrophic week 2 that they still managed to win. They had so many catastrophic games that they managed to win last year. Like that was like the Eagles game was like their 7th catastrophic game of the year. It just happened to be one they lost. Like so it wasn't just catastrophic in the sense of Kingsley Suamataia having a really bad game. Patrick Mahomes had a pretty bad game against the Bengals in week 2 as well, in terms of putting the ball in a bad place down the field, and they shrank everything down for basically the rest of the season. They tried to go downfield to Xavier Worthy. Him and Mahomes weren't quite able to connect, and so they shrank it all down. They condensed everything down. Now it's time, I think, okay, now you start blowing it back up. Year 2, okay, we've seen Worthy can do all this short stuff. How do we build on that and get him some more downfield routes? Those are the things they need to do. And the only thing I would, with Travis Kelce coming back, which, by the way, Nate, way to report. You heard it here first. KCSN list or watchers, really, because listeners, it's going to be aggregated by the time you listen to it, probably. But watchers are rewarded. You hear it here first. That's the only downside to it for me, is that there's a chance that it leads to a little more stubbornness. But Josh makes a really good point. I think they already attempted that last year. And now it's, okay, what prevented us from doing that?
Right.
You got to make sure that's not an issue here. And that's why you just cut a big fat check to someone.
Yeah. And you've got to do that too, because he will be 36, and he still led the team in targets. He still led the team in yards. And that is amazing considering all the circumstances Seth mentioned. So yes, they need to commit to the plan, even if there are an injury or two, because what matters to him is obviously being that he's most effective in, post Thanksgiving. Obviously, as you get to the playoffs and whatever that stretch might look like in January. So he cannot play. He cannot lead the team in snap count. It's wild at the skill position standpoint. He cannot do that anymore. And that is something that's going to be fascinating, because as you remember, kids, in Ted Lasso, it's going to be way tougher than saying, okay, I'll give up a few snaps. Okay, I will give up a few reps in practice. Okay, I will be more of an assistant coach than a player today. And guess what? They kind of need him next season to be more of an assistant coach than a player at times, because his voice still carries a significant amount of weight. And if there's anybody that's actually been in the system as long as Andy Reid, well, guess what, kids? It's Travis freaking Kelce. They need him to have a entertaining, informative, emotionally gut-wrenching Roy Kent year, where you're not going to have the speed. You're not going to be that great player who can just will things his way based on tenacity and knowledge and strength and, obviously youth. And so it's not going to be fun for him at times to be on the sideline more than he wants, but it's what needs to happen. Because Noah Gray, as we saw in the middle stretch of the season last year, is well capable of being a receiving option that can be on time with the quarterback, has sure hands, can work in the red zone. And I'm imminently fascinated by how Travis Kelce navigates something that he's never had to go through. And this was the first glimpse of it to him this season. And of course, it didn't end the way he wanted, which is why they have this team is not afraid to say things. And so it is fascinating to me. If you have not seen the quote yet, ladies and gentlemen, and I know we need to move on, Josh, but if you have not seen the quote, I need to go back on my little handy dandy website called theathletic.com, sponsored by, yes, yours truly, the gray lady that is the New York Times. This is what they've said to Travis Kelce publicly. And You can't ask for a better quote, kids. Can't ask a better quote from your general manager, Brett Veach, with the idea that hopefully, and this is his quote, hopefully he'll go out a champion. Hopefully he has a magical season to end a magical career. That's it, kids. That's the 2025 campaign for the Kansas City Chiefs.
For Kelsey, for Travis, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm not ready for Travis Kelce to be not in a Chiefs uniform.
I mean, I figured that as little as he loves football now by your metric, it seemed like you were ready for him to retire before this last season.
So I need to answer a question here because VF is epic. Asked me, did he see me outside the Casey Brick store in Overland Park this weekend? Yes, you did. My son loves Legos. So, and thank you for asking. So now, Josh, I get to tell you another nugget. And unfortunately, kids, you can't see my calves, you can't see my bed, and you cannot see me in the most seductive calendar photo you've ever wanted, okay? Now, look, we all know that last year...
Come back Thursday. We'll see.
Keep him
coming back, Nate. Keep him coming back.
I don't think it's...
coming back.
Okay. I mean...
Leave him wanting more.
You know, if you unzip... I get it. So, are you listening, Seth?
Such a fair question, an insane question to ask.
That was a bit. I am listening. That
okay. I am going to read another paragraph of what I've reported today, to inform you, because I don't think this is on the website yet, which means it might be on the website tomorrow morning. Again, come back to just come back to athletic.com. Just do that.
Well, now he gets them coming back.
Yeah. So, one of the things that is interesting, ladies and gentlemen, is okay, what else is going to happen? Now that we know Travis Kelce is expected to return for what appears to be his final season, what else is going to happen? Well, kids, the race for the Chiefs to retain Trey Smith began this week.
Yep.
The Chiefs hope to do just that before 11 a.m. Central Time on March 10th, when agents of unrestricted free agents can enter contract negotiations with any interested team. Similar to last year with pass rusher Chris Jones, Brett Veach acknowledged today that re-signing Trey Smith is the team's top priority. Now, you might be asking me, well, Nate, why aren't you on a bed? Why aren't you showing me your calves? Why aren't you trying to get me to request you open up an OnlyFans account to tell me to tell me before anyone else that Chris Jones was coming back? Why aren't you doing that again? Well, kids, KCSN, which you can't even see right now, has this banner behind me to promote the show that I'm on for Laura of the Indianapolis Colts to see that we out here. Okay? And we out here because there's growing optimism, just like last year, that Trey Smith might come back on a 5-year deal.
A 5-year deal?
I mean, legally speaking. Is that a good idea, Seth? That's huge. That's huge. Nate has said here, there is growing optimism that Trey Smith could be back, which as of Thursday, we were largely accepting the unlikelihood of it all.
Yes.
So that's fascinating. Nate has given us a nugget. We're all enjoying Nate's nuggets. But Seth, the question is, would that be a good idea?
Yes and no.
All right, we're going to take a break and hope Seth grows a spine in the meantime.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.
So
Seth has left the frame. Oh, he's back. We're not even getting to Nick Bolton yet, man. I feel like this is still a relatively safe space for you.
I have no Nick Bolton notes yet. That's why I got to be out till 3 a.m. tonight.
I mean, the fact that you don't have any Nick Bolton notes yet is pretty telling. Like these are things people can read into. Like, it's like, oh man. And I've noticed you don't have any Charles Omenihu notes either.
I have one Charles Omenihu note. That's the last sort of thing I will leave us with today. Now look, they are paying me US dollars to sniff around to ask as many people as possible in the late night, what is Nick Bolton's market? What is it?
This, ladies and gentlemen, is why Nate Taylor is in Indianapolis right now. To sniff around and to ask at 2:30 a.m. what's Nick Bolton's market.
What is it? Is it 12? Is it 17? Is it single digits? What is it? Give it to me. I'll buy you another drink. I'll buy you another drink.
How big are the single digits?
I honestly don't know. That's why I got to go out tonight.
God dang. Ben Wilkins in the comments just compared me to Zuckerberg and in the scene where he's saying he's paying attention, except Seth is 2025 Mark Zuckerberg instead of 2007. Holy crap, Ben. What did I do to you? Good Lord. That was uncalled for. Anyway, so, all right, here's the deal. I wrote recently on the Chiefs of North newsletter about the Nick Bolton and Trey Smith problem, or what I view to be a problem. And so we'll start with Trey Smith. Here's the long and short of it. Trey Smith is a very, very good player. He's a very, very good player. He's an excellent run blocker. He is a tone-setting player. One of the video clips that I used writing about him was him taking a defensive end for the Bills and throwing him off his feet when he came around. He was pulling down the line, and the DN saw him coming. And so he ran into him, and the DN, you could see them, like they had the collision, and you could see the DN is like, okay, I'm blocked. You got me. Plays over, right? And Trey's like, no, and throws him and like lifts both feet off the ground, gets him off the ground, and then dives after the guy on the ground. So you know he like got thrown. He's like, oh, ow, all right. I let up for a second. What are you doing? And just barrels into him. That is a tone-setting guy. It's a guy teams fear. It's a guy who slows down defensive ends and linebackers when they consider, like, let me just tell you something. If you are a blitzing like slot corner or something, one of the guys you look at on film is Trey Smith, because if he's free and you're coming through, he is going to try to kill you. Like, he's so mean about how he does his job, and it makes me laugh every single time.
Also seems like just an unbelievably nice man.
Yeah.
Who on a football field will kill you and shred your entrails.
He
confirm.
Nicest guy, super thoughtful about how he approaches the game. I've heard some of his interviews. Sharp player, and it's just morphs into a demigorgon when he is playing the game. I love it. I love it. He's also very close with Creed Humphrey. That kind of nucleus can be the foundation of an offensive line. These are all very good reasons to pay Trey Smith top of market money. Here's the thing. And I want to make sure that the thing is not like exaggerated here. Please I don't want it to have one more bit that's related to me.
Sure.
That was a very convincing promise. Trey Smith is a solid to good, maybe even good pass blocker.
He's a good pass blocker. You can say it. He's good. He's not great, but he's good.
Yeah, he's a good pass blocker who's not elite and has some specific weaknesses for your Ed Oliver, quicker on their feet types. He has become he's really improved as a pass blocker over the years. And part of it, if you watch with him, by the way, watch his strikes. You can tell he works with Duke. He utilizes his hands not simultaneously in a punch, but as individual punches. And he utilized them as combos. And the reason he does that, his first couple of years in the league, he was a okay run blocker, or not run blocker, pass blocker, who got his head too far out from over the top of him and lunged too often. And he's learned how to utilize his elite upper body power by basically having offsetting strikes with his hands to keep him from lunging too far with a double-handed punch. It's really cool to watch. It's been great to watch him. He's still an ascending player, given his age. It's just tough to pay a guard who isn't an elite pass blocker top of market money when you are a team that throws the ball 65% of the time. That's the problem for him. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. Like, this is not like a look. I'm just going to say it bluntly because I've been semi-coy about Trey Smith. If they pay Nick Bolton $15 million a year, I'm going to flip out because Nick Bolton, in my opinion, is worth maybe 7 or 8 a year. Good player. I hope he gets $20 million a year somewhere. I hope he gets so much money. I appreciate so many things he's done, but he has
from the Broncos or the Chargers or the Raiders.
Yes, and so he's an above average player who has a really unique gift in his ability to make splash plays because he reads things so well, right? The thing, so it's not similar situations for those two. If they re-sign Trey Smith to a top of market deal, I won't be upset. I will be curious about what.
It's gonna be top of market. It very well could be the top of the market.
It would be crazy for Smith to accept anything less from the Chiefs than the top of the market average per year.
Which is why you might need that 5th year to stretch it on out.
And that's the great thing about a guy his age. You can have it be a full 5-year deal. That's really a 4-year deal where you've got that 5th year where it's like, year 5, $40 million. But, that drags that up. I would be curious about what they're going to do about the left tackle situation if that's what they do, what they're going to do with Joe Tonei, who they love, the team loves. I don't know how you can realistically give Trey a top of market deal and extend Tonei, which they kind of need to do to have cap space this year. I mean, there's a lot of things they can do with other contracts, but that it just makes things tough. Doing that, they could pay Trey Smith top of market, have Joe Tonei for this year, and sign a left tackle. Because I'm team sign a left tackle, by the way. Bring me Stanley. Overpay him a little bit. I don't want to see any more of what I saw last year. I'm done with it. Nate's lowering his glasses.
Both of us leaned in with the exact same, we both leaned in real forehead first. I also don't want to see it anymore, Seth. You sure Ronnie Stanley is going to give you 3 years of 15 games a pop?
That's what he's averaged over the last 3 years, is 15 games. It's been since 2021 that he missed a bunch of time. He played the vast majority. He played the entire season last year, played the vast majority of the year before, played a little less the year before, but was still the majority of the season. The last time he missed really significant time was now 4 years ago.
He played 11 games in 2022 and 13 in 2023. So he's a little under your 15 average, but yeah,
correct,
right around there.
Yeah, and I get that, but
I don't think
going
to be 31 next year. So just in terms of wear and tear and health and
right. Nope, and I get it. I get it. I really do. So that's and if you're going to pay a left tackle on the market, you gotta overpay.
Got to be right too.
That's how it works. And so, and you pay him. You pay Cam Robinson. Cam Robinson might cost more just because he's younger, even though he's not as good. What do you do?
Taylor cost more, being at a younger age for a guy hitting free agency. You saw, they overpaid to fix one tackle position a couple years ago, and everybody hates that guy now. So I don't even think it's entirely fair, but
and that's not fair. He was solid in pass pro all year last year. Yep. And so there's just a lot of layers to it, and I'm trying to lay out I would be happy. I want Trey Smith to be in Kansas City for 5 more years. I'm curious what the overall plan is, because this draft, you're picking at 32. And
31.
31.
Sorry,
Dang
old
it,
habits.
sorry.
Old habits.
Yeah, old habits die hard.
I
It's
just
hard
screamed
to
at everybody. It's 31.
It's hard to find
It really echoes in here. This is bad.
It's hard to find a really good left tackle prospect at 31. It's also hard to find a really good one at 24. It's also hard to find a really good one at 20. And in terms of how you get there, how you would trade up for someone, sure they can, but they would have to basically torpedo most of their draft capital. You'd have to trade away like next year's first and do something like that. And there's everyone that you're going to get at 31 or even like 25 is going to be developmental and may not have even as good a college tape as Kingsley Suamataia, which everyone's ready to give up on already. So these are, I just think it's tough. It would be tough to go into 2025 with the same, well, we'll either develop these guys or we'll just kind of make it work thing, because we saw, and you don't want to overreact based on one game. Let me just say, the Joe Tonei thing, that's not overreacting based on one game. That really wasn't working. The rest of the offense was just able to cover for it. He was doing an admirable job for a dude that was being asked to play left tackle, who's not a left tackle. So that's where, like, if I seem angsty about it, it makes me wonder what the entire plan is there, because you do have other guys you need to bring back. And maybe their plan is, hey, Joe Toney's expensive this year, but without a, extension or whatever, you can layer contracts to where you could sign Cam Robinson for a decent sized contract that means virtually nothing in 2025. So there's ways around it, but I would just want to know what the entirety of the plan is. I love the idea of keeping Toney, Humphrey, and Trey Smith together, though.
We also went through an entire year of the best interior offensive line in football, being a part of one of the most frustrating offensive lines in football. So just in terms of
correct
of where all of that shakes out. But look, Seth, you want to know what the plan is? I'll tell you what step one in my plan is. It's to give Nick Bolton whatever he damn well pleases to have on his contract, and to make sure that the brains of Steve Spagnuolo's defense stay where they are. 6 years, no trade, fully guaranteed.
6
and
years.
There's a clause in his contract that he is the one who succeeds Steve Spagnuolo when he retires, not Dave Merritt or Joe Cullen or anybody on this staff. Nick Bolton will be the next defensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs after captaining this defense to a 6-peat throughout the deal of the contract I'm giving him at $20 million per year. Seth, why do you not like my plan?
Nick Bolton is a solid linebacker with a specific skill set. And because he's so smart, he makes really splashy plays at times. You can actually compare him in a certain way, very different play styles. But in a certain way, it's a lot like it. I don't think it's who you think, Nate. It's a lot like Willie Gay Jr. There is some feast or famine with Nick Bolton. People just don't notice it as much. Bolton makes a lot of splash plays, a fair amount of splash plays, because he's very anticipatory. He understands the defense well, but he also guesses sometimes. And that's why at times you'll see him just take the complete wrong run fit. And because he understands the game so well that he freelances. People love to talk about Chris Jones freelancing. People should talk about Nick Bolton freelancing, particularly in coverage, because it does happen. And so he can't cover up for when he guesses wrong, and he doesn't do it a ton because he's incredibly smart, but he can't recover because he can't run like a deer like Willie Gay Jr. can. And so for me, the problem is it's not just people like, oh, he's terrible in coverage and great against the run. It's actually not quite that simple. He's improved as a coverage guy. It's just he bites too often on some routes that get into his zones, so he'll take a couple steps the wrong way, and he's just not fast enough to go the other way. And that's just problematic. He also still to this day doesn't take on blockers at the second level particularly well. In the comments, Angry Junkin German, always good to see you. Bolton is not Derek Johnson. Let's not get twisted. Precisely. Derek Johnson was elite. Stop it. Yep. And he could do it all. Bolton is a little more niche in that way. If he agreed to come back to the Chiefs for $7 million a year, hey, great. That I would be very happy with. Similar to like Orlando Brown Jr. Had he agreed to come back to the Chiefs for $20 million a year, I'd have been like, hey, awesome. Top of market, Yeah. And make no mistake, I think Orlando Brown Jr. is a little bit better left tackle than Nick Bolton is an inside linebacker.
That, Seth, just made 400 people's heads explode. I agree with you. I think that's a great comp. But the way that Orlando Brown Jr. has been remembered and the way that Nick Bolton is talked about here now, there are people screaming at their phones or Bluetooth speakers or YouTube streams or whatever. But I think that's important because the context that we understand and appreciate these players in informs how we think about them in contract season and what we expect from them, what we hear the team saying, all of that. So Nate, on the Nick Bolton contract front, I know you got to go get your expensive steaks and late night drinks, but have we on some level, not the collective three of us, but the Royal, have we overstated what the Chiefs will be willing to do to keep him in-house? We've made the Steve Spagnuolo Anthony Hitchens comparison where they did let Anthony Hitchens walk after Steve Spagnuolo talked about how important Hitchens was to the defense. That was freeing up money, which is a little bit of a different action, but a similar overall deal. Where do you think the Chiefs are now? Because it seems like they've spent a whole lot more time talking and thinking about Trey Smith than Nick Bolton.
I would say that's correct. Here is the last nugget, kids. We all need to, if you're a Chiefs fan, do it now. You need to properly stand at attention.
I'm not going to like where this is going.
And salute Justin Reed. Now, with that understanding leads to this question. Who do you prefer? Is it Nick Bolton or is it in the best shape of my life, cryptic tweets, Charles Omenihu?
Justin Reed, Nate, is my answer.
I think it might surprise.
I'm totally cool with Omenihu, depending on what he wants.
It might surprise some people. I think Justin Reed could make some money.
Good for him. Is Juan Thornhill a free agent, or is his money?
He's movable? A free agent. He is cut. And if you want to bring someone back,
listen, I don't know anything. I'm not at the combine, Nate. I can just throw out real quick. Hey, Juan Thornhill. Hey, Willie Gay. Hey, Colin Saunders. Come on home.
Yes. Bring them all back.
And that makes Spags happy because they know his defense. Like, they know what it's like to be here at a pretty high level.
Correct. I think. Look, sometimes this is like a puzzle. Sometimes you're trying to figure out the puzzle, and it there's a lot of guys, there's a lot of players, there's a lot of teams, so the pieces can, it is a great puzzle when you really think about it. Juan Thornhill being available is interesting because bring that thing on home. How much is he now? Look, Thornhill's older. That's fine. You understand that. But could he be perhaps an affordable alternative to Justin Reed making Buda Baker money?
With the rest of your safeties all on rookie contracts.
Correct.
Right. And something to keep in mind is when Nate walks through this, Juan Thornhill is not in exactly similar style of player to Justin Reed.
At all.
But you know who is? Jaden Hicks.
Yes.
Correct.
And that's where, in Jaden Hicks, the first thing
found him.
Yeah, what stood out to people about Hicks, especially me, because I would never shut up about it, when he was playing this year, was that dude is enormous. Every time I saw him, I was like, man, that dude's huge. And he's super physical, but at the combine, on film, in his college film, and leading up to the draft, all you heard about is that dude's brain is even bigger than his body, apparently.
They found him, guys. I don't say that phrase often. They found him. And so I don't know who they is, but they found him. It's the same way I felt. God, now I gotta get my memory right. It's the same way I felt 2021, 2022. Never forget it, kids. I actually really do need to remember this because now we're going deep in the files, but maybe it was someone fact check me on it. I believe it was 2021 Madrid. Maybe it was 20. Ooh.
Yeah, I'll get right on it, Nate.
Maybe it was 20
here.
Nate,
it was
spit it out
because it was the 2021 US Open was when he flashed across our face. And then I think 2022 Madrid is when we found him. Guys, we found him. And what I mean by that is
Trent
on
McDuffie?
back-to-back days, huh?
Trent McDuffie in 2022?
Well, that's a great call too. God. Ooh, Dave Merritt, man. Maybe we should just give him credit. Steve Spagnuolo, Brett Veach.
Say
Mike
the tennis player's
Berganzi.
name so you can get
All
this
right.
out of your system. Is it the Alcatraz guy, Federer, Nadal?
Yes.
Are there any others?
Oh, let me rub my nipples. Okay. It was Madrid in, I believe, 2022 on the back-to-back days, ladies and gentlemen, in hot Madrid on clay. Carlos Alcaraz beat Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic on back-to-back days to win the tournament. You know how many people have done that? How many people have done that?
I guess 0.
We found him. We found him. So when it comes to Jaden Hicks, there was a moment, and I'll never forget this either. There was a moment in training camp where I just said, oh, they found him. They found him. They have found him.
Let's see him do it on clay.
Exactly. And back-to-back days. So yeah, I mean, it's salute Justin Reed the way you should salute and have saluted Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Salute him the way you saluted Willie Gay. I with them putting so much of an emphasis on Trey Smith, we'll see how that develops. Do you want Charles Omenihu? Let's go through Charles Omenihu's Twitter account.
Get your last nugget out. We're over an hour. You said your last nugget was on Charles Omenihu. Get your Charles Omenihu nugget out, and then on Thursday we'll reconvene and get all the rest.
Charles Omenihu. No, we have to do this because, guys, not everybody.
I'm saying get your Charles Omenihu nugget out now, and then on Thursday we're gonna find out what you've learned over a bunch of drunk steak.
Now look, yes, salute Tyron, everybody. Say his name. Salute Nick Sorensen. So here we go.
Nick Sorensen.
Earlier today, I love Charles Omenihu. Earlier today, he tweeted, "Keep your loyalty. We gonna need one another." What could he possibly be talking about on God's Twitter?
God's Twitter.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you this right now. Okay, when it comes to Charles Omenihu, he wants to come back, and he's pushing, and he's prodding, and he's poking, and he's in their face all day long. It's fascinating how the Chiefs will handle Charles Omenihu, who wants to be back. And there's a presumed assumption, I'm not saying this is fact, but a presumed assumption that Chris Jones would like Charles Omenihu back. Guys, he gonna keep calling them. He gonna keep texting them. He's gonna continue to tweet and delete and tweet and delete. I'm surprised this tweet is even still here, ladies and gentlemen, because he said a lot on the Twitter, and they're all inconspicuously targeted at somebody. But if this guy buys me a drink, I mean, am I gonna say no? But I'm in your DMs constantly. Constantly, I tell you, constantly.
They should bring him back.
Stay safe out there, Nate. Well, I'll be praying for you and your soul.
Yeah, well, that last part goes without saying, really.
Now, if I don't drink water for 6 hours, is my body going to explode?
Yes.
I think shrivel more likely, but we'll check in on Thursday.
Assume, and they never saw Nate again.
Seth and I will check in on Thursday.